What's going on this Tuesday?
Not too bad. 75 degrees in San Diego. Scott knows. How's
Oh
it
yeah.
going, Andy?
Doing good, doing good. Hi
Yeah.
Scott. Hi everyone.
Yep. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our every other Tuesday Trade of the Week webinar. And we'll get started here. Just a quick reminder, we're going into our test drive 2-week period on Monday. And during those test drive periods, our afternoon webinars are canceled. So we've got a lot of during the day support that we handle. So I'll see you again in probably 3 weeks, but let's get started for today. Just a reminder that Andy and I have been trading our own accounts forever. We've been using trade ideas literally forever, as long as it's been around. But we're now also employees of Trade Ideas. We've got some opinions in here, but anything we talk about that we're doing or we think is really not financial advice. It's not related to Trade Ideas. It's just our own personal opinion. So if you need the correct financial advice, you got to go seek out the broker license holders. All right, so again, coming up, we've got the test drive, and hopefully during that week, people will take advantage of our daily education, primarily Barry's live trading room, but additionally 2 hours a day. So we're gonna have 12 p.m. Eastern and 3:30 Eastern will be our open forum Q&A, come all support, learn how to use the program. So every day of every week, whether it's test drive or not, we open this up because we recognize for new users, especially the users that know exactly what they want to have the platform show them, it requires some configuration and education on your part, and it doesn't happen overnight. So we do our best to try and shorten your learning curve, and this is really one of the main ways to do it. As I mentioned, that afternoon and 3:30 Eastern session, you can get there by just jotting down trade-ideas.com/live, and that will always redirect you to the live stream that's going on over here. Stock racing is going to be released in the beta that's going to be available for the test drive, and anybody else that has the software will be soon able to download the beta that has the stock racing. Wouldn't you know it, I'm really going to put some value in it today. A lot of people say, hey, well, that's pretty cool, but how does that make me money? And I've got a great example from today to tie it all together to kind of help illustrate that. And there's more information on our test drive. If you're in the audience right now and you're not a current user and you're thinking about it, this is for you. This is where you want to jump in and take advantage of 2 full weeks of everything on the platform for 11 bucks. And it's really a great way to get familiar with the program and see if it is in fact right for you. And then we always have a nice little sale at the end of that 2-week period. Lastly, we've got an ebook from the latest one is from our Chief Technical Officer, Dave Mabe. He's also a trader. Very difficult resume to have the knowledge that he has for development software and also be a personal trader. So he knows exactly how to get it done and why we do it. So he's got an ebook. You can download it free at that URL below /strategy. All right, as people continue to file in here, we are going to just remind you all that every week it's the same theme, and I enter the show with the same theme, and that is that no man or woman is better than a machine. However, no machine is better than a human with a machine. So it's a symbiotic relationship. It's the new world we live in, no matter what industry you're in. Technology, robots, AI, machine learning, they all curate the data and the solutions for us, and we as humans get to choose from the cream of that curated data, and that is really the best partnership, especially with the AI. We've shown many times that the AI doesn't do as well in fully autonomous mode, meaning the AI will take care of your conservative mode, sell the stock for you. It never works out as well as those who use our AI to allow the AI to give you the entry. That's the value it provides, and then you take over and manage the trade in real time as more data and more nuances come in. So just a great theme to keep in mind, especially in trading. You need the right tools, but they can't all do it for you. You got to have a good relationship with your tool. So market cap is how we're going to start off. As usual, AI recap. If Andy found any nuggets of wisdom in the AI today, he'll go over that. I've got 2 trade of the weeks to get through, some lessons in there, and we'll see what we find. And this is where I'm going to tie it all together. I don't think I've shared with you guys or talked at all about a scan that I made called the Pro Gaps. If I did, that's okay. We're going to reiterate it, but we're going to really tie it together with how to use that strategy scan plus the races in real time to give you an opportunity to make some money. So stick around for that. If you have to miss, you can always catch the recording when it's uploaded tomorrow. I literally have not gone through the sectors since the close today, so we'll go through the sectors together and get some fresh opinions on what to watch tomorrow. Usually we can find 2 or 3 very interesting sectors that might shape up nice for tomorrow, and you can put some ideas on your watch list. And then we'll finish as usual with some chart requests, see what you guys want to look at, see what's out there. We'll give you our unvarnished, unbiased opinion. All right, so now let's just go to market recap. Here we go. We'll start with the SPYs and we'll stretch these out. All right, so a lot going on here, quite honestly. We're at the crossroads. And what I'm seeing initially when I look at these charts, I see the 200, which is a significant moving average, okay? It's significant because it played a role here as resistance, and then it broke back through, and then wouldn't you know it, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, it acted as support. So that's a very interesting area to keep an eye on. But at the same time, we've got this 20-day simple moving average coming down. It gave us a little fake out here, but it's been trapped underneath that for the most part the last few days. And because of that, we really don't know how it's going to resolve, but I'm starting to get a feel that maybe it's maybe they're digging in here. Okay, the S&P closed back above that 20, and you hear me talk about it's important for the daily end of day candle to close and give us a signal. So technically, it did close above. It looks like it's trading even a little bit higher after market, but we're got to see where we go here. So we're kind of in a corner. We're painted into a corner. Is this going to resolve back to the downside or to the upside? Well, I had some hedges on with a TZA, and I can tell you the TZA is the upside inverse of the IWM. We can look at that next. IWM has had a very rough time. It's always been leading us lower, the small caps that is. Bounced with a nice bottoming tail here, and it's kind of held this flattening 10-day moving average, and it closed right at the declining 20. Well, this was enough for me to get out of half of my position today at the close of TZA. And again, I'm not expecting the market to crash. I just was using it as kind of a hedge in case we did. It wouldn't hurt the longs as much, but that's kind of throwing in the towel a little bit. So I sold half at the close, and I will likely probably get out of the rest of it tomorrow. And again, I'm not bearish. I was just holding that for a couple of longs to offset some hedges because I was trading it pretty well the last couple times it made lower lows. But what I think is interesting is the Nasdaq. This one is really struggling the most of all. And I say that because it's the only one that really can't get back to its declining 20-day. All right, it also did not reclaim its 200-day like we looked at a minute ago in the S&P 500. So this one's still a little bit shady, but that little 10-period moving average is cupping and turning up, and that's what it's holding. So if it holds this, you know, we could see that tomorrow. And I'm starting to think that's more likely what we're going to see, because the last few days we've been strong in the morning. I'm sorry, we've been, yes, strong in the morning for the most part, but then closed on lows rather weakly with some of these candles. We didn't get that today. We got more of a close on high. So it just feels like the market's stubborn. If you're wanting it to go lower, I mean, my God, we did have a 10% correction. I know I was clamoring for a long time that this market needs some sort of a correction other than all of these little ones that we were lamenting. We needed something more than that. That was a try there, but that was a pretty decent correction there. And again, back on the SPY, if we zoom in, we reclaimed the 200-day. And these moving averages are really supporting it, almost like, you know, it could be a bird in the hand. So personally, I took half my hedge off today. I'll probably take the other half of the hedge off tomorrow, and I'll just go back to a position where I'm looking for only longs with nothing to hedge them with. Anything you want to add, Andy? I know you're doing some hedging too.
Yes, I am. I did buy quite a bit of stuff today. We'll see if there's any follow through, but I am.
What'd you buy?
Well, let's see. I've been at Snap for a while. I bought.
You nailed the bottom on that.
I did.
Yeah,
I mean,
earnings.
I bought that into earnings because, and I think I talked about it in the webinar on Friday. But So I love what Snap did today because it had an offering, and you can see that's some really good price action after an offering. Yes, almost closed flat on the day. Excuse me. But uh, go back to the SPY, Steve. The only one
Mhm.
thing I'd add to that, we are at a very critical pivot level right here. If you draw a vertical line, yeah, he's just showing you right there. So this is a critical level. So we can see today that close, I wouldn't say everything's clear because we've had a lot of wicks to the upside. But Steve is right. If
Pivot.
you're bullish, you're kind of hopeful there you're building on something here, and it's quite possible. I think tomorrow we'll probably shed some light on the direction. We'll see.
Yep. All right.
All
Well,
right, I'll take it over. And
sounds good.
alrighty. And not a lot to talk about today, but we are gonna. I'm gonna talk about how Holly a lot of times, and just a couple of examples of today, can have some really good calls. And if you're just sitting here and looking at our final numbers, it's really not fair. You can see here on the I'm sorry, guys, I don't have my pen going, but on the conservative profit, they're both pretty much flat. So at the end of the day, you think, ho hum. But I'm going to show you that it was much better than what it appeared. And that being, if you look at Alcoa was a great call from 68. It hit the target at almost $72. So that was a big move there, like a $4 move. And of course, it gave back some. But hey, like I said, we say man and machine, and Steve always starts his webinar out with that slide, guys. You see it every time. So this is where the man can take over. You get a nice move like that, a $4 move on a stock after earnings. I'm always one to at least bang out half, if not just like I did in Snap the other day. I sold on the first day. I sold half of that, but another one too. Even though this one right here was pretty much a stop. I mean, it signaled, in the morning this morning around 10:46, and this thing went all the way down to, the 1592 range. So that was a decent move for about 20 minutes before you got that ugly snapback move. So there was opportunity there. You just had to be quick. And really, in my book, on something like this, it's hard to take a loser once you get, that kind of much in the money and it reverses on you. So worst case scenario for me is that would be a flat, but there was a little opportunity there as well. This one, Nickelback, was a kind of a messy one because it triggered, it went up, and then it came down, did not get anywhere near the stop down here, and then eventually had a nice little move with the market and is even, trading a little bit higher in after hours. I was surprised Baba didn't do better, only because K-Web was so strong today. If you look at my um, sector analysis here, you're going to see K-Web was one of the stronger ones. And that speaking of which, that I did buy some plug on the close today, but I'll just point that out real quick.
Yeah,
So
I was going to say, since you got your screen up, why don't you just show them a little bit of what you bought because we teased
yeah,
them.
yeah, I will. I'm sorry I didn't elaborate on that more. Plug. Uh, I did buy this actually on the close at like 2202. I like the way it kind of found a bottom down here, popped up, and then kind of regained its 10-period moving average, and now just barely closed above the 20 period. So this is one you might want to watch tomorrow. Um, but some alt energies had some plays today. I bought EVGO today. Right here, you can see my buy. Sold half up here close to 9. I'm still in my second half of this one. Let's see, what else did I buy? Oh, BKKT. I added to my position today because I'm really liking this setup right here. I bought it yesterday at around I think 460 or something like that. And I saw it today and I bought some more at 558. I got hit on the bid on one of these candles at 558. So now I'm back in a pretty big position in this one. This has the potential to be a strong go. And even though this wasn't a pause, that's a strong pause because it tried to gap down and it's pretty much a solid green candle there. So this is one to watch, and it's also a pivot level right here. If it gets above this high right here, you could have a nice move on this BKKT tomorrow. And I just bought that. Steve's been in DWAC for a while and CFVI, and this was kind of a sympathy move that I caught on this day. So this one has the potentials, especially if those other SPACs continue to go. It's more of a Bitcoin SPAC though. All right, Steve, I think that's about it. The other two were just this was just a potential fade that just didn't work. Stop there, and kind of right here as well. This one was the same thing. Looked like it was going to go lower and then reverse. So these weren't too not impressive calls at all. But the other ones I didn't think were that bad. Even this one down here that eventually pretty much got stopped. It was some nice gains in that. So on the surface, looks like it's a pretty flat day, but the opportunity to do much better using the AI was there today. All right, Steve.
All right.
I'll shoot it back to you.
Yeah, that BKKT is an interesting chart there, isn't it? I got it up here on my screen. Yeah, it looks like it changed lanes, we used to call it. Getting dominated by that moving average, and then boop, popped up and changed lanes. All right, so what we're going to talk about now is the last two trade of the weeks. The first one I sold today, got out today, just wasn't working. Okay, vet, we're going to go back to this. There's that beautiful little consolidation pattern we're seeing in some other things, and this is an oil and gas play, which has been a very strong play. So we tried to go with some momentum again here, and it held up very nicely. As I moved forward, it actually triggered and gave a little bit of profit, and then back into the range. And then today I just said, you know what, this isn't holding. So I'm cutting things really quickly today. And I believe the trade actually did call for a close below the 20-day moving average would be a signal to get out. I'm out, and that's how I use those signals. A little different this week in picking something that is not momentum, but you remember on the heels of Snap, Andy was talking about Snap and how a lot of these things, their earnings and their disappointment has been baked into this stuff for months now, okay? Whether it's Snap or some of these other names. But, Robinhood, say what you will about their company and their business practices, we're in this to try and make money, and we're monitoring footprints in the sand. And so much like that BKKT chart we were just looking at, Robinhood, it had dominated by these moving averages for so long. And then there's our new earnings symbol. You'll see in the charts on the new beta release, very easy to identify on the daily chart now where earnings occurred. A nice gap down, and that was it. It didn't even sell off on the open. The open gap down, and it just they started buying from that point. That's when you start to think, okay, well, this news is no longer running the market or running the stock price. It's actually baked in. We need to look at what the footprints in the sand are telling us. So if I back up 2 days here, whoops, didn't mean to do that. If I back up 2 days here, well, there we go. This is what Robinhood looked like going into the weekend. A nice push higher, reclaimed that declining 10, and then boom, popped up and reclaimed the declining 20. So a couple of quick little lane changes here, and risk reward. That's really what this trade of the week came down to, risk reward. And the stop in this one, it was not so much, I would love to say, hey, if it closes back below this little cupping hand right there, the 10 SMA, if it closes below that, that's probably a good stop. I mean, that's probably enough. But technically, I said I was using this level down here, pretty much like that low, those two lows here and here around 1150. If this thing wants to meander back down into this level, it's probably going to have a date with all-time lows. So just don't wait for that. Just say, okay, this is what it needs to hold, guys. It really needs to hold that. So now let's clear out those annotations.
Well, can I add something too, Steve,
yes,
while you're doing that?
Please.
That was very, very wise of Steve to do that, because bottoming processes can be very difficult, much like topping processes. So to just use a defined line sometimes, you're going to get stopped out a lot if you try to. They can be messy, and you got to give them a little leeway, I think, at times.
Yeah.
On something like Hood.
So let's
small
go
size
forward.
And let it work for you. Yeah.
And there was no trigger price in this one. The email called for just go ahead and buy it at the open and manage it. This is a swing trade. This is not a momentum scalp that's supposed to come out of the gates, with a 100-yard dash going in the direction you want it to. Now, technically, we did close a skosh below, the flattening 10 SMA here. Okay, technically yes, but that's not really the risk management in this one because it can get a little washy, like Andy said down here. I like the bottoming tail. It didn't close on lows. It didn't close on a red bar all the way down there. So this one is technically still in play. And if the market catches a bid, I would keep an eye on this. So there's really no harm, no foul. It's a position. When we get in a swing position, we monitor them with risk management. And as I've said over and over, I wait till the end of the day to try and make my big decisions on what to cut and even sometimes what to enter in anticipation of a good day the next day. But that's where we are on Robinhood. Good risk reward. Let's just see if it can hang above 1150. We'll see what tomorrow brings on that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yes, David. David mentioned in the chat it's been tough out there. He's long and short. there's some of them are going the wrong direction. You're not alone, David. We've all been talking about. Andy and I have been doing this for many years, over 23 years now, 24, and we've never seen a swing trading market as difficult as this. That's because we're swing traders now. We're having to sharpen our pencils a little bit and be more like Barry, and Andy's been doing a much better job than I have of getting in day trades. I'm just not a day trade mentality guy, so I just kind of back away and wait for my pitch. But Andy is, evolved, changing with the market environment, and it's just not there, David. The stuff that we used to get, nice 2, 3, 4 day moves in the past, we're just not getting those anymore as a swing trader. Okay, so this is where we're going to move on to something a little more fun, I think. Again, the stock races, you've probably seen or heard us talk about them or use examples. And it's funny, even in our own circles, here are some of the guys when they first came out with this idea, which, is basically just a new way to visualize data in our top lists. Okay, we have the top lists. They're always sorted by something. It doesn't matter what. But when we see something of interest that started down here, we take our eyes off it and all of a sudden it's moving up the list. We can't really see what it's doing and coming to life on a top list. So the stock race was created to work hand in hand as kind of the second step, if you will, of these top lists. So last week, or maybe it was the week before, I don't know if I've shared it, but we're going to go over it now. It's called the Pro Gap Scan. And I'm going to look under the hood for those that don't know what a Pro Gap is. A Pro Gap is something that has been in a prolonged downtrend, and everybody's probably, feeling bluesy and it just keeps bleeding. And then one day something happens, whether it's a news event or God knows what, the stock gaps up 4 or 5% on the open and catches everybody leaning the wrong way. So you got shorts who are panicking, I got to get out of this thing. And you got day traders who are salivating saying, I got to get into this thing. And we're going to look at it from the approach of the day trader saying, I'd like to get into this thing, because usually a pro gap setup is a nice day trading, at least a one day trade. What it does after that is anybody's guess, but these are going to be some nice ideas for a one day trade. So the concept is a top list. There's no event. My price is 1 to 100. I told you it has to have been in a very depressing downtrend. Well, I'm defining that here. Change in 20 days, minimum down 12% over the last 20 days. That's first and foremost. Change from the close. Well, I have a gap of 3%, so this is probably redundant, but I want to just see things that are at least above if they start to cycle up and down. This is a key one, position in previous day's range. I don't want to see, yes, it could be a gap, but it could be a gap after a big red bar yesterday and it just gaps up into yesterday's range. No, we want at least a 3% gap or higher, but it's got to be well above, or at least above yesterday's high. And so position in previous day's range with a value of 101% in the minimum ensures me that all these gaps will show up to me above yesterday's high. They're not going to be in the range. I don't want to see anything in the range. It's got to really catch the people leaning the wrong way and just neck snap those shorts and force them to cover and ride along. Average daily volume I've got for this one, I don't want to see things that have just come to life today. I want to see things that are at least doing 300,000 shares on the average, on the regular. Okay, so that's our top list. I had relative volume in here, but I realized I can't do that because I want to see what this list looks like 5 minutes before the bell. So 5 minutes before the bell, when I come in now, I've got a list of ideas. Now, let me just tell you, this list this morning was probably 10 or 12 ideas long. But what's nice about this is I'm going to run what's called a race. So I would come in here, and I'm doing this about 1 minute before the opening bell every day now, you guys. And I come in here and I say, okay, let's launch a real-time stock race. And then this is the menu that we get. This is what I do at 1 minute before the bell. I expand it. I open it to as many as, 10, 20. 20 usually, but sometimes it could be less if there's nothing in there. Minutes to run, I'm doing these on kind of shorter bursts, like I did this one I'm going to give you an example on 30-minute run. Okay, this is the key right here. This is where it really marries up with the scan. I don't want to see things that are running and gapping and moving higher on change from the close. I don't care about change from the close. I only care about change from the open, because those are the ones that are not gapping and crapping. Those are the ones that are gapping and moving and doing something. So I can now get a very early warning look at which stocks are gapping up, and the ones that aren't following through immediately, they're dropping out because they're going negative change from the open. So change from the open right there. Boom. So we got that based on change from the open, sorted on change from the open. And then I like to hit replace cars, because that means if something else comes in during the race, it can show up on the grid that might have not started there. And then auto rerun, so it's constantly rerunning. Now, if you haven't seen Barry in his live room, he's working this stock race thing pretty good. He's got it watching his watch list at all times, and they're based on, I think, change from the close. But he's running like 2-minute races. So there's always something happening in this little window where he can look over and get a glance and see in a 2-minute perspective what his top list is doing, rather than trying to keep an eye on what's moving up and down the top list. So I can't click run because it's not going to do anything, but if I did, it would look like that. And what happened? So this morning, I've been playing around doing a lot of paper trading to try and test this strategy. And well, here's what I got. At about 10 minutes after the open this morning, I screenshot this because I knew I was doing a webinar and I wanted to make this point. Here was SOPA, basically opened right there. It traded down for a bit, but came right back up. And as it was coming back up, I glanced over at my race and I noticed there was only 4 cars in the race. Well, that was immediately interesting because it started with like 10 or 12, as I told you. So right off the bat, what the race did for me is it just threw away all the stuff that's immediately selling off. Don't want to see that. But if they come back up into the positive change from the open, then we'll start to see them on this grid. And so what this told me was, hey, you should be watching SOPA. SOPA is pulling away from the other ones that are working. Change from the open isn't a choice of mine. You have the latest beta. Well, it's not, Michael, Mitchell. It's not. I'm going to share the scan because I added the column. That's a good question. I'll elaborate on that, Mitchell. So what happened was immediately, without trying to guess, 7 or 8 of these names just fell off. I looked at SOPA and I said, this is the one I want to paper trade today. So let's go ahead, and this was the, again, the snapshot 10 minutes after the open. And this is what SOPA did the remainder of the day. So it was right about here, 445, that I took that snapshot, and it went from 445 up to 598, 595 in a period of 30 minutes. Not a bad opening day trade move. And as you can see, I was watching it. This was really at the spot that it could have launched off of, but it didn't. And I talk about this all the time, you regular guys. Once that red candle breaks that 10 SMA on my 15-minute chart, the momentum to me is broken. And you can see once that happened for the rest of the day, it was broken. But I'm really feeling like this particular scan is giving some good opportunities in the first hour of the day for day trading. LIDA, okay, so this one actually was on, dropped off, and then came back on again. And it actually held for the rest of the day, not bad. LIDAR, another good push, but it took a little while to get that one going. But I think the real sweet spot here in this particular scan and using the race with this scan was this type of setup today in SOPA. And again, I looked at the daily chart and I thought, wow, this thing has just been in a horrible downtrend. It just gapped up right here, and let's give it a shot. So to answer your question, Mitchell, I have change from the close, but I had to add change from the open right there. And so that's what I'm sorting by. If I sort by change from the close, the colors and things don't really work as well, but change from the open is what I'm basically sorting on. So all you have to do to get that menu to give you the option, Mitchell, is add that column to your scan, and then it transposes over into the drop-down menu. And if you don't know how to quickly do that, you just right click. I would go to configure, and I would do the keyword change open, change from the open %. Then all you have to do is highlight it and then click show as a column, and it will add that column to your scan. Once that column's in your scan, you will have it as a drop-down item for your stock race on how to monitor it. But that's really the key. I just want to reiterate that. Change from the open is what I'm monitoring here. Change from the close, I'm not interested in. That's going to show me all the stuff that's gapping and crapping. So I see some requests for a share. We'll certainly do that. For the Pro Gap scan, I think this is a good one. I don't usually get excited about day trades scans as much because I'm a swing trader, but I found a way, I think, to really marry up this type of scan with the races. And we'll see what you guys think of it. So let's see, I'll drop it into the chat window here. We're going to call it Pro Gap Top List. And I would recommend you guys do tomorrow before the bell what I did today. Just start running that thing at 1 minute before the bell. It'll just go right into the session when the bell rings, and you can start quickly monitoring which one of these pro gaps might have some juice and which ones were a fake out and a gap and crap. Okay, so yeah, David, I did give you guys the pro gap last week. I took the relative volume off. That's the one change I made, but I think that the way I tied it all together this week was how I think the race cars work really, really well with these types of scans. And so, yeah, see what you guys think of it. All right. So what were we going to talk about next? I think, did you want to add anything on that subject?
No, well, other than the fact that yes, the races can basically cut through all the clutter, guys. And so if you're looking at a top list of stocks that are gapping up, you're going to be looking at 30 stocks, whereas the simple method that Steve is using these races, it could like I said, eliminate all the junk and show you what's moving higher.
Yep. And again, the only thing I did different was take off relative volume in the scan itself. I have a column for it, but I want to see which one of these are moving pre-market. And you can't use relative volume in our top list. It'll throw the whole darn scan off because we don't monitor relative scan. And so if one filter fails, the whole thing becomes blank. We don't want that.
Yep.
Oh, I do want to just backtrack just a skosh here. On the what was it? Yeah, on the Robinhood call, there's the Hood trade of the week. Sometimes, the trading gods, they like to spite me. They would they would hammer the thing that I officially called in the tagline, and then all the other things I was thinking about calling run. So I can't remember who it was, but they said you really should just start adding those also ran ideas, and so I did. So checkmate, trading gods. I don't know if you guys noticed, but CFVI and DWAC, I've been pounding the table on those. They're in my 401k. There was some action there yesterday. So just the reminder, please don't forget to look at the bottom of the page on these Monday emails and try and take a look and see what else is being all called on there to keep your eye on and not lose track of. DWAC yesterday went from 87 to 96 in about 2 hours. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that.
You got to.
Okay, so what we're going to do here is you guys can start typing in some symbols if you want, for charts that you'd like for me to look at on the walkout. Yes, the webinar is recorded. You give any, I think you'll see it tomorrow on the Trade Ideas YouTube channel. It'll be uploaded by tomorrow. All right, so yeah, you can send some ideas in. I'll look at those charts in a moment, but first we're going to go through, and I have no idea what I like, but I'm going to tell you at least a couple sectors I think we need to keep an eye on tomorrow. TAN has been very disappointing. We're probably going to have a lot of them that look like this. It's trying to create a base, but it's not really jumping out. Oh, Jets, I know this one's going to be good. All right, I told Andy
Steve,
midday.
real quick.
Yeah, yep.
Can I check something? Go back to TAN. Is that thing really gapping up that high in after hours? That'd be good for my plug if it is.
Let's see if there's trade. Ooh, it is.
Oh man, was it
so
first?
Something happened.
I don't think First Solar.
Oh, it's First Solar, huh? Was that what it was?
First Solar? I don't know.
Looks like it. That one's acting nicely.
Gosh, I almost bought that today, but that chart is.
Okay, so keep an eye on TAN tomorrow. We might have some follow through in TAN, but I told Andy midday I like the way Southwest Airlines is shaping up, and it kept on going too. So you guys can see I've got an alert in there. I want to know when this thing trades above it. Could come tomorrow. All right, I don't know what's going on, but the airlines have all of a sudden gotten a little bit buoyant, and they're holding up. So Jets right there is the ETF for the airlines. Looks very similar to what we just looked at in Love. I'm sure JetBlue probably looks similar. Yeah, JetBlue is actually breaking out, but it's got its 200-day looming right above. Interesting. Okay, so solars and airlines, good start. K-Web, this is China. I don't trust China as far as I could throw them, or as far as they can jump off that makeshift ski jump they got to go over there next to a nuclear power plant. That's a beauty. Did you see that, Andy?
What's that?
The Olympics in China, the downhill
Oh,
jumping,
yes,
complete
yes.
man-made snow next to a nuclear power plant. Great. Okay, let's turn post-market back off so I can go through these. XRT, nothing special. The banks, okay, the regional banks, that would be KBE, the bank spider ETFs looking good. Maybe they're scared of higher interest rates, but they're popping up a
I
little bit
think they
there.
like it, higher interest
Yeah.
rates. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to trust anything tech because, as I said, Nasdaq, QQQ seem to be the most vulnerable of all of them to me. So I'm not going to get excited here about semiconductors or software. Financials look good. They've broken back above their key moving averages. Steel looking good again, but boy, this is like a megaphone pattern if I've ever seen one. Look at that.
Mm.
Interesting. Very volatile over there in steel. Technology going to look just like Nasdaq does. Home builders under pressure. I love silver, but it's not showing anything. I love it for the long term. Gold miners trying to make a couple moves there, but I think as we go through these, it's going to look like the first two that we came across. IBB really getting pinched there. These biotechs getting pinched between their 10 and their 20. Could be something there. You know, you could set an alert. You could pop in there and set an alert if you wanted to. IYR doesn't look good. Energy still trending, but you know, oil, that VET trade kind of let me down. These things might get tired. I don't know. XLV healthcare. I'm going to say solar and airlines pretty much looked really, really good. There was one more in there that didn't look too bad. Oh yeah, the financials, the KBEs and the KREs. So banks, airlines, and solar. Maybe keep an eye on your favorite names in those tomorrow. I can share, it's hard to share a watch list. We're going to have a new version out that will allow us to share symbol lists, but basically, if you just, take those symbols right there, I mean, I can't copy them from there, but you create a symbol list in Tools, Symbol List, okay, and this one's called ETF, and there's my 20 symbols. Okay, so you have to create that symbol list first. What I will do is I will give you the shell of the scan, so you have all the same coloring and all the same columns, but you're going to have to enter that symbol list yourself. So I'm dropping my sector scan in the chat window there, not to be confused with the questions window. All right, so let's go through a couple of charts that you guys want to look at, and then we'll bring Scott in a few minutes. Looks like BTU was first. I liked this name earlier. Obviously, it was a trade of the week. I let it go. I liked it a lot right there. I liked it a lot there. It gave us a move, and then it just very difficult to stay. So, but your question is BTU. I think in the grand scheme of things, it might be ready for a bit of a break, a bit of a consolidation, pullback, but it's strong. It's above all of its moving averages. I'd probably really like it, and I'll actually set an alert for it down here, right about that gap right there. If I can get a pullback, I would consider that. It might be right on those moving averages if that does happen. A bit of a wick tail today, like a topping wick we had back here on this day. So a couple of big sway moves back and forth. It might be due for a little bit of a correction, but I think I still want to keep it on the radar. All right, Dave hitting us with 3. Oxy, bit of a topping wick there 3 days ago. So it was kind of like that vet trade. Pulled back to the 10 SMA. This thing could easily pull back to the 20. I would say 36, 37 could be very interesting, Dave, if it pulls back there. If you're in it, hope it stays strong. But if you're not and you're stocking it, that's where it might want to go. 37-ish. DBA. Very nice looking chart on the daily. Could be a bit extended. Closed strong. Invesco Agriculture Fund, huh? That's very interesting. I like that. I'm gonna do the same kind of a thing. I'm gonna put a little price alert there and see if we can get a pullback in that. That's a strong chart. And I mean that, but I don't mean I would jump in here. I mean that I would like to look for the jump rope to come around and give me a nice entry on something like that. And then Coke, nothing really exciting and volatile about Coke, but people are sure drinking it. Yeah, you can't say anything bad about it. Probably a staple, Warren Buffett type
Yep,
stock.
plays the
A bit,
dividend.
it pays a dividend, a bit above its moving averages here, so probably not a great entry point, but nothing bad. Let's see, ENPH, big holding. Oh boy, there's pressure on this one. Hey, I think you might be okay. This is doing what I call the bird in the hand. Okay, so it's did like with those other stocks we looked at. They changed lanes. They recovered the 10, recovered the 20. Now you got the 20 and the 10 converging, acting as support, flattening in the 20 and rising in the 10. This is what I call a bird in the hand. This is an anticipatory type of setup here, where you might be it might be coming real soon, where you get a nice quick move up to this level. What, am I stuttering?
No. Jonathan pointed out, look at after hours. That's the one that's taking the tan sector up. It's
Oh,
trading
okay.
on. It's already trading up to that area you just marked.
Oh, big holding. I was assuming that he was having a big holding, so that's why tan is up. Okay,
Uh-huh.
got it. Thank you for jumping in there. Yeah, Southwest Love. We talked about Love. You were just asking about Love, so you know I like it. Box. What does Box look like? So, by the way, I mean back to that chart, right? It was holding up, and we just that ENPH was holding up really nicely. It did
Mm-hmm.
exactly what a bird in the hand should do. That's why I call it. That's why I call it an anticipatory trade. You take these overnight, and you might be lucky the next day. Box, couple more, then we'll bring Scott in. Come on, Box. Oh, now it's locking on me.
Pulled up to 15-minute. That's weird.
Yeah,
Did you some?
it froze right in the middle of it. I can't do
Okay.
anything until it opens up again here. There we go.
There you go.
All right, so it's actually emerging out of a nice little bird in the hand kind of there as well. Looks pretty good. I like that one, Dave. Can you share? We did the share for okay. Netflix. Okay, we'll do Netflix. This looks like it might be the last one, and there's one more question to look at. Netflix is in trouble. You know, it's kind of like the Nasdaq. It's really taken a drubbing. It's almost like the headwinds of COVID for Peloton and Netflix have kind of reached the other side of the mountain now. It's trying really hard to hold this 400 level. I think that's what it needs to do. If it can stay above that curling 10-day moving average, you might have something there. A question about brokerage, is this a future layout including buy sell? Yes, so this, you're probably looking at my panel down here. This is going to be in the newest beta release in the next couple days before the weekend. It's no different than before, otherwise you just have to click sell first, it changes pink, or buy first. Put your market, your price, your shares, and you can usually load it,
Then hit
preload it by
send.
clicking something. Then
Yeah.
you're hitting send now instead of buy. Buy or sell used to send the order. Now you click that first, direction, shares, send. I'm not going to click send. All right, guys. Well, that's about all I got for you today. Again, this will be recorded, so tomorrow you can take a look on the YouTube if you missed any of it. Thanks for your comments. And Scott will show you on the way out here where is the best email to reach us in case you have any other questions after this webinar here. Scott.
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple items. If you have E-Trade, go ahead and connect your E-Trade account to Trade Ideas, and you can trade commission free via Brokerage Plus. Just go to trade-ideas.com/eTrade to learn all about it. We do have a relationship with Interactive Brokerage. They have one of the deepest short books in the game. They're a very reliable broker. They interact directly with our Brokerage Plus account, so go ahead and connect those. Just go to tradeIdeas.com/IBKR to learn all about that. We do have a code if you decide you want to start up today. Use LOVETI to save 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas. Also, do not forget about the test drive that is coming up on Monday. So tradeIdeas.com/test drive is the place to go to learn all about that. If you have any questions, email us info@tradeIdeas.com. You can find Steve on Twitter at TISteveG. We're also at Trade Ideas and some other handles. And of course, Trade Ideas Pro is the Facebook handle. So keep an eye out tomorrow for an update from our GoToWebinar emails. You will get a link to the playlist where you can find the recording archived on our YouTube channel. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Andy. Have a good one.
All right, I'll see some of you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. I'll see you on Thursday.